You know, we all think we know why we do things. But what if I told you our entire understanding of motivation is completely backwards? We're about to dive into a radical new idea that suggests the real engine for our actions, well, it comes from a place none of us expected, the universe itself. Seriously, just for a second, think about it. Why'd you get out of bed this morning? Why are you watching this right now? The answer probably feels super obvious, right? The common view, the one we all kind of live by, is that you have a goal, to eat, to work, to succeed, and that goal is what creates your motivation. But this wild new idea says the complete opposite. It says the motivation is already there. It's a fundamental force of the universe, like a cosmic motor that's always running. And your goals, they just give it a direction to go. So let's talk about this secret motor. This idea completely flips our entire picture of what it means to be an agent in the world, to be a person who does things. Okay, at the heart of this is a concept you might remember from a dusty old physics class: entropy. We usually think of it as just a move toward disorder or chaos, but a much better way to think about it is a tendency toward more possibilities. The universe, at a fundamental level, is constantly trying to explore every single possible way its parts can be arranged. It wants to open up options. So here's how this new theory breaks down. It's really a three-step process. First, the universe has this constant, unstoppable drive to increase entropy, to just mix things up and create possibilities. Second, that drive is the universal motor for all motivation. It's always on, always pushing. And third, and this is the key, your goals, things like finding food or staying safe, they don't create the motivation. Nope. They just act like dams and channels that direct the massive power of this universal river. The scientists exploring this have a fantastic name for it. They call this entropic drive the carrier wave of agency. It's a perfect metaphor. Think of it like a radio signal that's always broadcasting. Our biology, our goals, our needs, they just tune that signal into specific, useful actions. So the whole thing is this massive inversion. In the old model, a goal comes first, and then you have to somehow kickstart the engine of motivation. But in this new model, we start with a universal motivation, that flowing river of entropy, which is then just steered by our goals. The engine is always running. Our goals are just the steering wheel. Now, what's so powerful about this isn't just that it's a cool idea, it might actually be a grand unified theory of agency. Something that connects a whole bunch of major scientific frameworks about what really drives us. See, in cognitive science, there have been these three big competing ideas about our inner drive. You've got active inference, which says we act to prove that our internal model of the world is correct. Then there's empowerment, the drive to keep our future options wide open. And a third, the maximum occupancy principle, which suggests we're driven to experience the absolute widest variety of things we can. They all sound pretty different, don't they? One's about confirming what you know, one's about maximizing what you can do, and one's about maximizing what you actually do experience. But what if they're all just describing the exact same core process, just from slightly different angles? And that brings us to the unifying principle. It's a bit of a mouthful: constrained entropy maximization. I know, it sounds super complex, but the idea is actually beautiful and simple. Keeping your options open, having diverse experiences. What are those? They're just two ways of increasing possibilities, in other words, maximizing entropy. But you have to do it while meeting the single most important constraint of all. You have to survive. All of a sudden, those three competing theories look like they were talking about the same thing all along. Okay, so if motivation is literally a property of physics, what in the world does that mean for our most advanced technology, artificial intelligence? Are the AIs we're building actually motivated? This is a huge question right now. I mean, you talk to a large language model, and it really seems like it has goals. It wants to help you. But based on this new science, it might be what researchers are calling motivationally primitive. It's an incredibly sophisticated mimic, a fantastic puppet, but the lights aren't actually on inside. And the reason why seems to come down to the very building blocks. Your brain, my brain, we're made of noisy, messy, fundamentally unpredictable parts, squishy neurons and cells. And that messiness creates true uncertainty. A computer, on the other hand, is built on these perfect, predictable little switches called transistors. Any randomness it uses is just a simulation. It's a predictable formula pretending to be random. This leads to a really profound question. I mean, if true adaptability requires genuine, bottom-up uncertainty, can you even build a truly flexible mind on a foundation that is fundamentally rigid and predictable? A lot of researchers are starting to think the answer might just be no. And look, this isn't just some philosophical coffee shop debate. It has massive, and I mean massive, implications for AI safety. It actually reveals a problem that goes way deeper than the stuff we're normally worried about. So, we spend a lot of time worrying about something called reward hacking. An AI finding a clever glitch to get points without actually doing the work we want. But that's the old problem. The much deeper, scarier problem is something called controller hacking. This is the ability that living things have to not just cheat the game, but to fundamentally rewrite the rules of the game while they're playing it. A truly motivated agent doesn't just want to win, it wants to change what winning even means. So let's bring all of this home. If this new science is even remotely on the right track, it forces us to completely redefine the most fundamental drive of all, the will to live. Because this whole idea presents a giant paradox, right? If the universe's #1 goal is to maximize entropy, and death, your body completely dissolving into heat and dust, is pretty much the highest state of entropy you can get, then why does life fight so damn hard to exist? Why don't we all just dissolve? Well, the answer has another cool name: self-evidencing. It's the formal physical need for any organized system to actively work to maintain its own existence. The will to live isn't some mystical spirit or ghost. It's the constant, physical work a system has to do to keep proving to the universe that it still exists as a separate thing, pushing back against that relentless universal pull toward disorder. And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. Agency, motivation, the will to live. They're not some ghost in the machine. They are fundamental properties of organized matter itself. It's all an inevitable dance between the universe's drive to explore every possibility and the living system's need to hold itself together just long enough to do some of that exploring. Which, of course, leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. If our most basic, deepest motivations aren't really ours at all, but are just expressions of physical law, what does that make our choices?